Today is going to be such an exciting day because you see that tank right there. That is the ADA 2-foot, 60 centimeter aquarium, and we're going to be setting this tank up. It's going to be super fun. Last year we took this tank down. I had a scape in here, like an island style scape, and it was time to reset it. So I took it down, and after I took it down, I asked you guys to vote on Instagram whether you wanted to see a nature style aquarium or an 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗿𝗀 aquarium next. And 64% of you said you want a nature style aquarium. So a nature style aquarium, what that is basically a planted tank with lots of plants and some hardscapes, some driftwood and stuff like that. But it features a lot of plants, as you can see in this bottom picture right here. An 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀, on the other hand, is a very simple rock scape with very few minimal plants, and I really wanted to do an 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀, but this time around, because you guys said nature style, we're going to be doing a nature style aquarium in this tank right here. So this tank right here, if you've been following along for the past year, I was supposed to set this up last year, but because of so many things going on, I've just been putting this off to the side, and I just haven't scaped it, so I apologize there, but I've been working so much on this fish room. You can see building all these racks last year, setting some tanks up, and I just haven't had time to set this tank up, and this is really what I wanted to do. I want to scape tanks, but before we can scape tanks, you know, we gotta set everything up. And also, another excuse that I have is this 4-foot, 120 centimeter tank. I was just focusing on the contest Aquascape last year, and I just didn't want to focus on another tank, so that's why I've been putting it off. But this year, I've got more time because we are kind of like done with the fish room in terms of building all the racks and stuff. We can finally start setting tanks up, and this is the first one that we're going to be setting up. So let's go and start. I'm going to start getting out all the materials that I need for this build, and yeah, I'll see you guys in just a bit. And here I am. I've got everything mostly prepared, so let's go and take a look. So the tank, it is the ADA 60p aquarium is what they call it, the standard 60 centimeter aquarium. We've got the Chihiros WRGB Slim. Super nice, sleek looking light. I really love this stand right here. So cool looking. And then Hardscape that I'm choosing today is just, we call this hornwood. It's a really nice looking wood. I've got 3 pieces. We're just using 3 pieces of hornwood today, and I've also got some lava rock down in here that I'll be using together with the wood. And then for the substrate system, I had some of this power sand that I had used about 2 years ago, so I'm just going to finish this up. And the soil, ADA Amazonia Aqua Soil. Probably one of the best soils on the aquascaping market. It's my favorite. Lots of nutrients in it, the plants love it, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. The plant selection for this tank, I'm going with something a little bit different. A lot of plants I've never tried before. The carpet plant that we're using, Lilaeopsis brasiliensis. Pretty nice looking plant, never used it. This right here, Hygrophila odora. This one I think I'll be using in the back center of the tank. I just want to see how this plant grows, and it'll be quite fun. And then this one, Rotala macrandra. It's a red color plant. And then over here, we're going to be using 2 plants. These ones are super cool. Right here, Cryptocoryne nurii. I'm not so sure exactly what type of nurii crypt this is. And then right here, this one's, take a look at this, Cryptocoryne flamingo. Not a plant that you would usually use in a nature style aquarium, but I just want to grow some crypts, so I'm gonna try to use them in my nature style aquarium. And that's not all the plants that we're going to be using today, because that's a little bit too little, too few of plants to use for a nature style aquarium. So we are going to be using some of my immersed grown aquatic plants, and they're not in good condition right now because it's winter and I've left them outside during the cold, so it's frozen multiple times. It snowed on the plants multiple times, but some of them are still doing okay. You can see some of this Ludwigia super red is still red in color, and we've got Ludwigia repens green, and some Rotalas not doing too well. Take a look at this. This right here is glossostigma. Look how brown it is. and this is Macrandra Monte Carlo. So these two plants didn't do so well, but take a look at this Hygrophila corymbosa. Yeah, quite crazy. It's turned black in color, but it should grow once spring comes, once it starts to get warmer. You can see some of the Rotalas are still doing pretty good though. Right there we've got Rotala, rotundifolia. I think I'm going to use some of that. We've also got Rotala green, so I might use some of those healthier Rotalas, but a bunch of the other plants, they haven't been doing too well. I'm going to go and pull out some of these rotundifolias. Not in best condition, but they should regrow themselves once I plant them in a tank and give them CO2 and nutrients. They'll definitely do alright. Alright, so here are some of the plants we've just harvested. Some Rotala rotundifolia as well as Rotala rotundifolia green. So you guys just saw the aquatic plants that I'm growing immersed up there. They're not looking too good, to be honest, and it's because of the cold. And I could cover them up, but I really want to do something better for them. So this year I'm thinking about opening up more space out here in this yard and building kind of a greenhouse. I don't know if I'm going to build like a super nice greenhouse or use one of those cheap DIY things that anyone can set up. I'll probably do the cheap way, but I think if we have a greenhouse area where the plants can sit in during the winter, they'll do so much better, and I can organize each plant, label them, and I think it'll look really cool. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Take a look at how good that looks. We've got the Town Bride Aquatics competition model light screen. This is just gonna make any aquascape pop, and I can't wait to get this tank set up, because with this back screen, light screen, whatever you call it, it's gonna look so good. Right next to it though, I've got another one. It looks very, very similar. You might mistake it and think they're the same, but this one right here is the RGB model. You can play around with colors. You can have it green, blue, red, yellow, orange, purple, whatever color you want. You can control it using an app. Really easy to use, but for me, I'm just a simple guy. I really, really like the simple blue and white color. So that's why I chose this, and with this it's really easy to control. You just have this little circular dial thing, and you can turn it off by rolling it down. You can see right now it's completely turned off, and to turn it on you just roll it up, and yeah, really, really simple to use. And if you want to get one of these, you can go onto their website, Town Bride Aquatics. I'll put the link in the description below. But if you enter code RIO5, you can get 5% off on any order on the RGB model, on the regular competition model. And yeah, so make sure to go check that out if you're interested in one of these. But now the time has finally come to start scaping this tank. So I'm gonna go ahead, begin, and play around with some of the driftwood I've got here, and we'll try to come up with a nice looking scape. Well, I hope it turns out looking nice, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so there it is right now. Not completely, not 100% finished, but just a rough idea of what I want to do. Once the plants start growing in, it's going to be much more clear to understand what this is, but it's basically a concave composition aquascape. We're going to have kind of not quite a full opening in the middle, but it's going to be shaped kind of like this. So yeah, nature style. I think I'm going to start adding the base layer fertilizing substrate, and then we'll add the soil, and I'm going to adjust these wood pieces a little bit. For anyone wondering what the ADA power sand or the base fertilizing substrate looks like, it's basically just this. It looks like pumice mixed with a bunch of stuff that helps plants grow, and also I think helps like bacteria grow in the substrate system. So I'm gonna spread this out, try and make it more even, and then we'll add the soil on top of that. Alright, so it is the next day. I just went and got my CO2 refilled. It's a little small cylinder, not too big. It's perfect for this size tank. Well, any cylinder size will do. It's also a pretty good idea to cover up your aquarium using some plastic saran wrap or whatever you have laying around at home, because the soil actually has some moisture in it. And if you let all that moisture out and evaporate, the soil dries up and it becomes easier for it to crumble up, which wouldn't be so nice. So if you're gonna let your tank sit for a few days, make sure to cover it up so that the moisture stays in. So now we can finally start planting this tank. I'm going to start getting some of these tissue cultures ready. And also, I just went and picked up some of these plants right here. This one here is called Ludwigia glandulosa, and this one is Proserpinaca palustris, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know. I'll put the names up on the screen so you guys can see. And I think they're in the immersed form, so they're gonna look a little bit different once they grow submerged. But yeah, pretty fun to try new plants out. So I usually like starting to plant from the foreground. So we're gonna start with Lilaeopsis brasiliensis, which is the front carpeting plant. So yeah, we'll open this up and start preparing some plants. So I've always preferred planting my plants in wet substrate. Not like sprayed wet with a sprayer, but really wet substrate. You put water into the tank until it reaches the level of the soil. That's how wet I like to plant my plants in. But I've actually never tried planting into dry soil before, so today I'm going to try that, and if I don't like it, I'm just going to do it the way I usually would. Alright, so we've got the mid-ground planted in. All the Cryptocorynes have now been planted. I've got the Cryptocoryne pink flamingos as well as the Cryptocoryne nuries. And I like to plant the 2/3 technique, or the 3-point technique is what I call it. I'm not so sure what it's called, but like having 2/3 of the plant on one side and having 1/3 on the other side. So for the Cryptocoryne pink flamingo, I've got 2/3 of it on this side, on the left side of the tank. I've got a group planted right here, as well as right here. So that is the left side of the tank. And then on the right side, I've got the Cryptocoryne pink flamingo planted right there. And as for the nurii, the opposite way around, I've got 2/3 on the right side of the tank. I've got one planted there, as well as over there. And then I've got a little bit planted on this side. So it's kind of, you don't really have to follow rules, but I just like planting it that way. It makes it look more natural once all the plants grow in. But for this time, it's going to look a little bit unnatural actually, because I'm planting in pink color plants, which isn't really something you do in a nature style aquarium, but I just really want to grow these Cryptocorynes, so we're going to use them today. And also, I used quite a lot of Cryptocorynes, so if they all succeed and grow, it's gonna look like a wall, so that's kind of unnatural, but we can take those plants out and replant it with something else in the future. And there it is, the tank is completely filled to the top. just take a look at that scape. I am really loving this, but let me know what you guys think of it down below in the comment section. Do you like the scape, or do you think I could have done better? But I'm really loving the plants in the back. It looks like a rainbow back there. Look at all these stem plants. The red, orange, greens. And then we're even going to have some pinks in the foreground, which is kind of crazy for a nature-style aquarium. Pink, I think, is a little bit too bright of a color to use in a nature-style tank. But I just want to really grow this plant, and if it grows well, I'm probably just going to pull it out of this tank and replace it with something more natural looking. But now what we got to do, I've already got the filters hooked up while I was filling this tank. We're just running a regular canister filter. This is a Tetra canister filter, and we've got Eheim Substrat Pro as the media. But what I have to do next is get the CO2 set up, and today we're going to be using this Fzone mini regulator. Pretty cool little regulator this thing is. I've never tried it before, but it should work pretty well. And what I really like about this regulator is it's mini, but it's super solid. It's really heavy, and it looks like it's gonna work pretty well. Shouldn't be too hard to put on, I don't think. I thought I was in for trouble because I've only got these 2 wrenches and they don't fit. But Fzone, the package, this regulator comes with its own wrench, so that's nice. So now I can tighten this thing down fully. Just like that, I guess. Alright, that is awesome. We've got the CO2 set up. This Fzone regulator is really easy to use. I didn't even need to use this manual, this instruction manual, but if you need to, it is always there. And yeah, really nice regulator. Super happy with that. You can see we're also running this acrylic diffuser. It's diffusing the bubbles really finely. And the water is a little bit cloudy, really normal. During the first week, we'll do lots of water changes just to try to minimize algae. We are definitely going to get algae in the first month of this tank, but it's going to be really easy to fix all of that, and I'll show you guys the process, the whole journey of this tank. This here is Bolbitis, also known as African water fern. So I'm gonna place this in the tank. It doesn't look like much right now, but once it starts growing, it's gonna make the tank look much better. And there it is, the tank is finally done. The Bolbitis, it doesn't look so good right now, but that's normal for it. It needs time to settle in and start growing, and once it does, it's a beautiful looking plant. I just love the dark green colors. This is probably one of my favorite epiphytic plants. It just makes the tank look so natural and like gives it like a jungly vibe, if you know what I mean. Gotta give a big shout out to Fzone. Thank you so much for sending me this mini multi-stage regulator, and they also sent me a dual stage CO2 regulator, which I'll be excited to try out over there with those 4, well, I only have 2 tanks right now, but I hope to do 4 planted tanks lined up, so we're going to definitely be using this for that. But I haven't been using this for so long, like I opened it about an hour ago, but so far everything seems to be doing really well. It's really good quality. Like the moment I picked it up, it's super heavy and it looks like it's gonna work well. So hopefully, make sure to follow along to see how this thing works. So far, you can see the CO2, it's working amazingly. It was also really easy to set up. Like, no, I didn't even need the instructions at all. But as always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the process, how this tank develops. And I'll see you guys next time. Take a look at what we've just received right here, this giant package. I wonder what could be in it.